What is up, YouTube? Nooses Carl here. So, as you saw in my last video, I decided to go 2JZ on the E46. So, I kind of want to do a video of just what's to come, what my goals are, and pretty much how the build's going to be looking. So, first things first, my goal. Number one, I've always wanted a turbo build, so no NA stuff or anything like that. Had to be turbo. Number two, has to be between 400 to 500-ish horsepower. And number three, it has to be reliable. With a drift car, everything's gonna break. Something's gonna break no matter what. No matter how good a driver you are, something's gonna break. So the more I can reduce that, the better off I am. Now, there's a couple options that I was kind of trying to decide between. There's the M54, there's the S54, and a V8. Now, first and foremost, V8 I don't want to do. I don't like the sound really that V8s make, so inline 6, pretty much the way to go. Now the first runner up would be the M54 that is in the car right now, mainly because I wanted to explore the potential for the M54 since they did come in that car, you know, E46s. Obviously I got that car because they're relatively cheap, so I might as well try that motor, but unfortunately I didn't go that route, mainly for a couple reasons. The stock M54s are known to handle about 400-ish horsepower, pretty much on the stock motor with the turbo kit. Now because of my power goals, I'd pretty much be running at the threshold, and also because of the weak rods on the M54, the motor could potentially go. So because of the drawbacks on the motor, I would pretty much have to rebuild the motor with a forged bottom end, which, to be honest, I didn't want to deal with any motor building with this drift car build, so that's pretty much out of the question. On top of that, there's a couple issues here and there, like the oil pump nut having some flaws, could potentially cause catastrophic failures, and other stuff here and there, like the head studs potentially popping out. Now the second runner-up would be an S54. S54s are really cool, to be honest, but they're really expensive. So that was pretty much out of the question. They cost like, what, 3,500 bucks for the motor, 4,500 bucks. If I'm gonna swap in another motor, I'd rather just go 2J, to be honest. So, like I said, they're really cool, but they're expensive. They do have really high compression, so when it comes to boosting that motor, you pretty much be running at threshold, and it's really gonna come down to your tune. But if you have a bad tune, your motor could go. Some more common issues with that motor. I know the journal bearings were a bit of an issue for the earlier generations. I know it has been addressed on the later ones, but it's still an issue regardless, and it still has to be addressed. And then same thing with pretty much all those BMW inline 6s is the oil pump nut potentially coming loose and causing a catastrophic failure. So again, don't really want to go V8 because I don't like how they sound, unless they have like a flat plane crank or they have an 8-to-1 header like Tanner Faust. Now, with that being said, the 2JZ is not completely bulletproof. There is still potential for it to blow. I mean, if I have a bad tune, there goes my motor. But there's a lot more leeway in the motor. I mean, that motor is tried and true. It's built for boost, and it's over-engineered. So there's a lot of safety factor built into that. Stock bottom end can easily handle 600 horsepower, and multiple people have ran even more than that, even up to 1,000 horsepower. So there's a lot of potential there, but I'm going for reliability. 400 horsepower, again, a lot more safety factor with that. The aftermarket for the 2JZ is plentiful. There's a lot of companies making parts for that motor, and with the amount of saturation in the aftermarket, that means parts can be had for relatively cheaper than normal. Many people run them at the track, so if there's any issues at all, chances are someone's gonna have a spare part, or someone probably a couple miles away is gonna have a spare part. So that's also a big plus. Now, as I'm sure you noticed, I'm not sitting next to my car. I'm actually sitting next to my brother's S13 with the 2J, and that's mainly because myself, my brother, and Mac are going to be running pretty much the exact same setup so that we could be pretty much at the same power level, same power band, all that stuff. Now, just to go over a couple things, I want to go through like a brief overview of what the setup's going to be like. Going to be running a single turbo Borg-Warner S360 SXE. Those turbos sound phenomenal. They make good power and they have decent response for this motor. I'm going to be running a SPA turbo manifold with a towel wastegate and a towel blow-off valve. Going to be running a Greddy style intake with Injector Dynamics 1050X injectors. Going to be running an AR5 transmission. I know I don't have a lot of viewers. AR5 transmission. If you want to do a 2JZ swap, get yourself an AR5 transmission. They come out of a Pontiac Solstice and a what's the other one? What's the other one, Eugene? Pontiac Solstice and
Saturn Sky.
Saturn Sky. Get yourself that transmission. It bolts right up to a 1J to R154 bell housing. Don't have to pay the premium of an R154 like 2 grand, or a CD009 setup, which is easily going to be 2 grand as well. So keep it a secret. AR5 transmission. Go get it while you can. And then also going to be running pretty much all AM electronics, AM Infinity. Going to be running all AM sensors. So that pretty much sums it up. To show you guys what I'm going to be dealing with, how about we cut some footage of pretty much all these guys' 2J setup. So stay tuned. I'm pretty much going to be going through a in-depth setup of what my parts list is going to be like and pretty much what I can really expect from this build. So stay tuned. Let's cut to the footage.